Be like if you knew you could not fail. Oh my gosh, we got a great show for all of you today. Benny's like, we got to get started. I was just talking to my guests for today. Today is like an amazing show. It's so much that is just coming through on what these women do. Shifting impressions. That's it. Shifting impressions. Gretta Chamberlain, Leigh, and Yvonne Crayer. Now, here's what I want to say. I was just talking like before the show, we chit chat before we come on air. But these three women, they are the culmination of the podcast Shifting Impressions. But they're more than that. They are that. They are representation of the realm of beings. And Dr. Gretta is going to tell you about that. But there is something so important from Gretta, Leigh, Yvonne today. Something so important that I had to have this conversation, because I don't know about you all out there. Anybody out there not feeling the shift? Anybody out there not feeling connected? Maybe you don't know what you're being connected with. Well, today we're going to be talking about the realm of beings, and also how you can connect with these three amazing women in the podcast as well. But today it's all about them. And it's all about you. Welcome. Great to have y'all.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Our collective.
I was saying during the show, I love what I do. I love it. I love being able to really launch and expand the network. But I don't get the gratitude and appreciation I get is to watch the journey of people with powerful voices. And that's you three. And I love being able to see from the minute you step into your yes. And you did that before you started to do the podcast, by the way. But the minute you step into that yes and start to connect with people all around the globe, something changes. And what I love about having you on today is you all represent not just what's possible, but what we really need to do, what we need to do to come together, what you three did to come together. Today, I want to tell people a little bit about each of you, but I'm going to have you tell people about each of you. I could read your bios. I could tell people like what you're doing. I could talk about, Collective Heart Studio. I could do all that. But I want to get down with you. But first, let me welcome you to the show. It's great to have you all here.
Thank you, Dr. Pat.
Thank you, Dr. Pat.
It's an incredible year of awakening in so many levels, discoveries, awakening, whatever you want to call it. The year of the Nathan Chens of the world. But it's also the year of the Jane Forbes, the people that have believed in creating a world that is based on wisdom and knowledge and then taking action. And what the three of you have done is you've come forward, each of you with your individual talents and gifts, your individual careers, your individual work, your individual families, your individual lives, but you came together for a reason. And I want to ask you each this question. Dr. Gretta Chamberlain, it was such an honor to meet you and get you rolling on here. I want to know how you have shifted impressions for yourself since before you started the show and now in the show with these two other amazing women. So you both know I'm not going to change the question, right? So you get to think about that while she answers it.
Okay,
right?
super. My answer came pretty quick though. So I was like, she can ask me first. I'll go. Right, so then I don't sound like a repeat.
You can pass the ball, right?
We'll wait and see what happens.
But see, this is the dynamic of your show. See, this is what I love. Gretta, what do you think? You want to go? You want to kick it off?
Leigh always kicks off the show for us.
Okay.
Okay, so I will, because I was a little nervous to come on here with you, Dr. Pat, because I see my place in our Shifting Impressions podcast is more of the questioner, more of the person who asks the questions to solicit more information from Gretta, right? So when Gretta said we were coming on the Dr. Pat show, I said, oh, she's going to ask me questions. I'm not really good at giving answers. So but this one I can definitely share with the listeners out there. For myself, as we were discussing in our chat before we went live, I was super apprehensive. I mean, talk about a mountain in front of me. I am not very active with social media or this online world. I was very proud that you probably could not search me in Google and come up with one single result. So now I guess that's possible, although I haven't done it with our faces and names, attached to Shifting Impressions and Transformation Talk Radio. So for me, that was the biggest shift in my impression that I had to make, because I had to shift from social media is a little creepy and weird, and I don't necessarily know that I want my face plastered everywhere, to, you know what, Leigh, make this shift, because there's so many wonderful things that social media can do, bringing people together and sharing wisdom. And I learned so much from I get so much value from the wonderful people that are out there and sharing their wisdom. So I said, you know what, just shift and see it as that. So
Okay.
that's my big shift.
Okay. So newsflash, you're right. If I Googled your name, you personally, all of you, right? We always get aware of the people we're talking with. And you're right. You were not on the radar. Try doing it today. Don't even put in Shifting Impressions, just your name, because what you're going to get is a full page of you, and then multiple pages. And then when you click on view more, there's like there you are. There are other people too. But I will say this. You said yes. You said yes to being of service. See, that's what you just said to me. You saw yourself as being of service for Gretta, for Yvonne, for what you're doing. Now you're of service to the world. Don't Google yourself. It's going to scare you, though. Okay, who wants to go next? I love this.
Go ahead, Yvonne.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, Leigh. Yvonne.
Well, I'm next. I'm in the hot seat. So, yeah, thank you for having us on today. And I appreciate that. And I was scared to death before we started our podcast. I just went along to get along because Gretta asked me, and I felt like I can't say no. So I just said, okay, yes, I'm going to do this. And, I've had trouble finding my voice in the past, and kind of at the last chapter of my physical life here on Earth. Not that I'm expecting it to end anytime soon, but I feel like that last hunk is the hunk of the wisdom years as a woman. And, when you asked the question about being of service to Leigh, I have recently been pondering and thinking about this. How can I be of the greatest service to the whole? And that's been my contemplation as I've been working through another synthesis of wisdom called the Gene Keys, and it's the prosperity sequence. So that's been pretty much around me in terms of the energy besides Shifting Impressions. But I think that we both use in the same stream of wisdom, which every week on our show, we talk about loving yourself, going inside, going deeper, understanding, knowing thyself. And that's where it's all about. When you shift out of the outside world and make a shift to the inner world, magic happens. And it's all about that, about the energy and what we can offer in the greatest service to ourselves by loving ourselves and offering that love in service to the whole as we support our planet through this great change that we're all in the middle of. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
Gosh. Thank you. I'm going to pull all these answers because they're just like, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Right. Dr. Greta, for you, right?
Oh
Now,
my.
you have to
I
answer this because you have talked about the
oh
realm
yeah.
of beings. Because the realm of beings, you did a show and I heard it. I heard something that you said. I can't remember the show, but I do remember the message. So tell us about you.
Hmm. Well, the realm of beings have been with me since I was a child. I didn't recognize them as that, but I always knew I had a force around me. Just intuitively, I knew that. When Leigh and I have been together now going on 5 years, we're going to be starting 5 years soon. So when I would work with her, she was always asking me questions. Well, Greta, why does this work? Why do you say that? You know, so I told her, I said, Leigh, maybe we should do a podcast. That was 4 years ago, prior to us coming to you, Dr. Pat. And we thought about it, and Leigh did some research on it. I looked into some things, and then we set it aside. I started moving in other directions. And the realm intuitively communicated with me and said, you're not doing enough to talk about creation of reality. So I said, okay. And so then the podcast came into play. Deb Del Sardo, another woman who works with us, had located some places that we could call about podcasting. And I set it aside for about another year. And so when they told me, you have to, we've got to bring this podcast idea back up again, I said, okay. So I went through my computer. I couldn't find anything. I said, oh my God, I've lost all this stuff. So I called Deb. I said, Deb, please. I said, do you have it? She looked, she couldn't find it either. She said, I'll start again. I said, okay. So Transformation Talk Radio was one of them, as far as the to look for a podcast. And I read it, and there were two. I communicated with one of them through email. They never got back to me. So then I said, okay, Transformation Talk Radio. So then I called. And that's how, we came. Now, Leigh and I have been with each other, like I said, going on 5 years. Yvonne is going on a year with me. So then it was something told me when I was interacting with Yvonne that Yvonne should be on the show. An intuitive thing, So I said, Yvonne, you want to be on the show? There's going to be another woman, Leigh. She's in Turkey at the moment, but you want to, come and be with us. So automatically she said, oh, Greta, okay, I'll do it. It scares me, but I'll do it. So when I called, the producer spoke to me and said, when I called Transformation Talk Radio, and they said, we'll have another one of our staff members call you and to you about it. I said, okay. So, but that very day, Dr. Pat, you sent me a long text message. I said, whoa. I mean, it was like about maybe 2 hours after I had talked to the producer. I said, okay. I said, this is a good sign. This is where we're supposed to be. So then I waited, and the person that they said who was supposed to call me hadn't called me. So something said, do not wait. You must call. Yeah. So I called and I said, I'm looking for such and such a person, which was Jessica. And she said, I said, I'm Greta, and I was told to speak to a person called Jessica. And she said, oh, yes, Greta, I know about you. And that's what she said to me. I said, oh, okay. And then she said, and I'm Jessica. And that started the whole thing. So that was a shifting for us because this program gives us the opportunity to discuss creation of reality, to assist people in transforming themselves, because nobody can transform anybody. We
No.
must transform ourselves. So,
Oh my gosh, I love
yeah.
this. You know, I love that story too, because you got to love our little Jessica. She's not little anymore. But when you put Jessica, Linda, and me together, it's very interesting. We're all very different. We all have different talents. But together, the sum of us is greater. And that's my sense of you all, right? So each individually, you all are brilliant. You all have your own lives, careers, paths. But when you bring people together like you all, plus let's not leave out the realm of beings, because I don't want to get an email from them. But you know, they can call me in my
They will
dreams, but
communicate with you in a different way.
yeah, that's what I'm just going to say.
Not necessarily.
That's what I said. And you know, it's funny because I said to Linda, you got to have them on. You got to bring them on the show. I don't know what she said. Well, why? What do you want to talk about? I said, it doesn't matter. It's like bring them on the show. We're going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. But what's most important to talk about with you all is this idea of sharing wisdom in times that are shifting and energies that are shifting. And you know, I said to you, I don't know what show it was or how it was said. There was a message that came through, and it didn't say, Pat, this message is for you, right? But I heard the message so clearly, and this was a number of weeks ago, and I don't know if it was even an encore, but the message was so clear to me that I immediately stepped into action. Now, I keep asking, is this the right action? Is this the right action? Is this the right action? And I did that yesterday, and the voice said, I will let you know when you are not taking the right action. Now, I don't know if the realm of beings talks like that, but that's what I heard. So I want to ask each of you, and Greta, I want to start with you. Shifting world calls for shifting impressions. Shifting lives calls for shifting impressions. Shifting what's on the inside of us is calling for shifting impressions. When you take a look outward, what is it that we are seeing? What are you seeing? And then maybe when we come back from the break, we'll hear from the realm. But what are each of you seeing when you take a sneak peek out in the way you want to help people change lives?
It's an interesting question, because that's a deep question too. What do I see? Well, first of all, I want to say that I can only see the world by where I am now, because we always teach people that what you see is coming from your inner being, your perception. It's yours. It doesn't necessarily have to be that the person that you are having the perception about or the whole thing about is that way. It's how you see it. How do you view it? So everything that's been happening out here, when I look outside of myself and I look, let me say this, it's not a looking outside. It's a looking inside myself to be able to see what is outside self. And what I'm seeing people that are hurting. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing people that are wanting a change. I'm seeing people that are just tired of everything that's been happening. I've seen people that don't know how to handle this situation without going bonkers or off or whatever. That's in that sense I'm seeing. But then also now, I'm also seeing the peace. Now, I know that people will probably, they're saying, how can she see peace in all this mess? We got Russia going into the Ukraine. We got the virus. We got the vaccine. We got the pandemic. We got all this stuff. And you're going to say peace? Yes, because peace has got to be inside of ourselves. That's where the peace is first. So I can say that I have peace because I'm I'm dealing with Gretta. I'm dealing with the inside of Gretta. Sure, I'm seeing all that stuff that's out there. But I think there's a statement in holy books or in the Bible. It says, be in the world, but not of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. We know we're here, but we don't have to be emotionally involved here. Because see, the three of us, and I'm speaking for them, so you ladies let me know if I'm off kilter. We know that each person creates their own reality, and that's what we teach on the podcast. Each one of us does that. Whatever is happening to us personally, I have to take full responsibility for that. If I stub my toe, that's Gretta. It's not the sidewalk that was sticking up. It's Gretta, anything and everything that happens to me personally is mine. It's mine. And knowing that, it helps me to change what I don't want.
Oh boy, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the shift.
That's it.
I can shift.
Yep.
I can shift from being angry to being peaceful. I can shift from poverty of the mind, because poverty is a state of mind. From the state of mind, you create the physicality of it. So I can shift that. You can shift anything. Dr. Pat, and I've used the story on the podcast that, when I had congestive heart failure, I was supposed to, usually people die from that situation. I said, no. I said, I don't have time for this. You have to go away. Now, it took me 5 years. Okay. It took me 5 years to work on it, but I said, Greta's not going out like that.
I love that. You and I have said the same thing. I remember declaring, it sounded ridiculous to the people that heard it, but I remember almost like in a mini temper tantrum saying, I do not have time to die. I do not have time to die. And my friends just looked at me, but that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you are saying that is a thing, but I am not of that thing.
That's correct. That's correct. We're way above that. We don't see really our true selves. But one thing we say in the podcast all the time is the big mantra or big affirmation is, I love myself unconditionally. That's where we have to stay. Loving self. Loving self. I suppose we have an affirmation. We gave it on the podcast, and a young woman called me 5:00 this morning, my time. And we were, that's when I start, 5:00 in the morning.
Me too.
And you too, see.
I do. I'm like 5:00. I'm like the coffee's on.
Right. And so I asked her, I said, did you say the affirmation? Oh, no, sometimes I forget. I said, well, you know why you forget? Because you don't love yourself enough.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you forget. That is the only reason. I tell people, and sometimes I tell them, I say, I'm giving you this now. If you don't say it, that's okay. But I want you to know that shows you don't love yourself, because you're afraid to say, I love myself. Afraid that people have fear of saying that. Yeah. Here, Valentine's Day is coming up. You know, I told him, I said, everybody's worried about falling in love with somebody else. I said, the first person you need to fall in love with is yourself. Fall in love with yourself. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go to break and I'm going to get back, but I want to just say this. When I got diagnosed in 2004 with at least anywhere from 8 to 10 different things, right? It tested my strength and my trust in the universe. It tested whether or not I was going to believe in myself or believe in everything outside of myself. And I could not say that phrase. And I got to tell you, I grew up a cartoon loving, comic book loving kind of girl. I'm telling you, it didn't matter what the comic book was, but I was like all about the superheroes. I had my little superhero outfit. Actually, part of that is what got me into therapy at a very young age, because I actually did think I was from another planet. But here's what I had to do during a tough time in my life. And this was 2004. It was 6 months after I started the show. Because when you start something like this, there are a lot of things that are going to shift, but you're going to have to face yourself. You're going to have to make sure that you are all in. And if there's any doubt, that's got to go. But in order for me to do what you said, I'm telling you, don't do this if you are in relationship with somebody. But I took my lipstick, I got all my lipstick, all the colors, and especially pulled out the ones that I didn't use. And I went through every surface that had a reflection. And I wrote that down, and then I put it on my lips, and I put little kiss marks all over it, because that's the kind of stuff I got to work harder than most people on the planet for that. But what you just shared, that is the basis for our commitment on this network. And I got to tell you, powerful stuff. So I'm not surprised, ladies, that whatever that show I listened to, whatever that message was, got me into triple gear. Now we're going to take a short break. Then we're going to come back, Yvonne and Leigh. So you all got to be like doing the same question. Okay.
Sure.
They're like, what? Change the question. But before we go, can you tell folks, Leigh, I guess this is you. Can you tell folks how they can find out more about you, how they can listen to the show?
You can listen to the show live on Facebook. You can listen to the show live on Transformation Talk Radio. And you can also find us on the streaming networks such as iTunes and Spotify. And you're looking for Shifting Impressions with Leigh, Yvonne, Gretta, and the Realm of Beings. So I guess we'll all be right back.
Oh my God, she did that so well. I am like, Benny. Leigh just took us to break, okay? We'll be right back.
All clear.
Does your life often feel like an emotional tsunami where rogue waves crash down on you, leaving you feeling hopeless and wondering if it will ever end? Do you wish to awaken the dormant strength inside of you? Imagine what it would be like to turn your pain into purpose. Start today by scheduling a complimentary consultation with Martinet. Dive into your healing journey and begin to see your life in a new light. Visit martinetemmons.com and make your appointment today.
Are both your life and mission passing you by? Are you wanting to step into the bigger reason why you're here? I'm Claudia Sam, your soul connection coach and host of the Be Happy Now show. It's possible to feel good to be you and to never burn out again. Hop on a free 20-minute clarity call with me to explore what life could be like if you could just say yes to yourself without the guilt. Go to claudiasamsoulcoaching.com/yes.
Parenting isn't about perfection. I think we all know that. Parenting is about being present and honest, having compassion for your child and for yourself, communicating consciously and loving unconditionally. Tune into the Awakened Parent Project with Susan Dolce every first and third Tuesday at noon Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Learn to be an empowered parent through the techniques of the conscious parenting community. To learn more about Susan, visit SusanDolce.com.
It takes courage to step into your calling and go for your dreams. Sabotage monsters can get in your way, preventing you from reaching your potential. You can choose to struggle alone, or you can choose community and support, someone to walk beside you, meeting you where you are. If you are ready to make real and lasting change, Coach Christine Clark is here for you. Find out more about one-on-one coaching and group programs with Coach Christine at sunglowtransformation.com.
Are you wondering who you are meant to be in this ever-changing world right now? Kelly Kay is a certified new paradigm multidimensional transformation energy healer, ready to assist you in this transformative process of expanding your consciousness. She helps you transmute your wounds and traumas into healing, growth, and wisdom, resulting in self-empowerment and freedom from fear. Visit enlightenedmedicine.com to learn more.
Ready to come back? All right, stand by.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We're having so many incredible moments. And I must say, I am going to come back in my next lifetime, and I'm going to have one of two careers. I'm either going to be a makeup artist for the most incredible sci-fi movies, so that's probably number one, or I'm going to be a championship snowboarder. So I'm going to come back in my life for that's like because I'm taking a moment as we're talking about shifting impressions, and so much of the headlines were about what the United States has not done. That and what's going on with the RLC. And then there was moments yesterday. There were moments. They were shifting impressions moments. There were moments that you saw people performing at their best, being driven by what was inside of them. So what I'm asking for you, Yvonne, and you, Leigh, because, Gretta, that was so perfect for the message for the world, is we live in an outside world. We got the house, we got the job, maybe you got the car. If you're me, you had the Harley. It doesn't matter. The question is, what is happening in 2022 on the inside? Let's not dismiss what everybody went through for 2 years. That's not what I'm saying. But this is a time to shift impressions. I'd like to hear from Leigh and Yvonne what your sense is of that message as you move forward, and what it's been for you. Yvonne?
Oh, okay.
I called on Leigh last night.
All right. Had plenty of time to ponder this question, but I'm just going to let it flow because I don't remember anything that I pondered. So here we go. Just to reaffirm in myself what Gretta said about looking inside and finding peace. I see in my outside world, I see a joyful world, a peaceful world, a sacred world where we're all unified and we're all coming together as one people in harmony. I do not focus on the chaos because I don't make a habit of watching any of the media. So I'm pretty much focused on my inner world most of the time. And I just see what's happening just in a bigger picture collective viewpoint that we're in the process of rebirthing, not just our world, each of us is rebirthing ourselves, and the whole world is changing. And all of what's going on now is a lot of chaos it's almost like a mulching and a turning up of the things that everything just needs to be broken before it can be rebirthed and reborn anew in a world where everybody matters and every voice matters. And that's what I see. In terms of our show, we never know what's going to happen, even though we make a plan the beginning of the week to what we're going to talk about for the end of the week. We work on quotes every week, quotes that are downloaded from the realm of beings through Greta. And the transmission takes us away. The energy in the moment, the flow just leads us into other things. And I think that's the beauty and I just call it magic, because that's what I use the word to explain things that I can't wrap my head around. It's just magical what happens. And the three of us put together, yeah, I do agree that it's much more powerful than what you said about Jessica and Linda and you together. It's just a synergy, and three seems to be the Trinity, seems to be the what's out there that is important, like the new human of I don't know what else to say other than that.
I love what you just said, though, because you just pointed something out I wasn't aware of till you just said it. We're getting more shows that have threes. I didn't even think about and now you just said it. And I thought, you're right about the power of that Trinity, right? I mean, that's an energy. We could do a whole show on that. Maybe you all will do your show on that, right? Your next show. But what it points to is, along what you said, Greta, and along what you said, Yvonne, we are meant to come together, and we are meant to come together now. And it may be fueled in controversy, because I think about times in our history, it is the controversy that has brought people together. And it sometimes is controversy that divides them initially, but is in the silence that becomes deafening. But when people speak out, when we are able to talk about what you're talking about, you're able to guide people, right? Did you do the mantra today? For us, it's a simple question. For most people, for myself, when I was at my bottom, what would have come out of my mouth, not language I could use on the air, somebody would have said that to me, I just ready. But you all are helping people get ready. Leigh, what do you think?
Well, I am happy to see that I really do feel like there are more people that are waking up to the narrative that we've fed for the last 50 years, which has a lot of perhaps half-truths or untruths in it, and maybe is not for the good of our global community. So I'm very happy to see that is starting to crumble and people are starting to wake up to it. I think way more people are now aware, more than when we started this 2 years ago. So I think that's great. I love to see the unity that's happening in Canada with all of those people coming together really peacefully to support a cause that they believe in. And more close to home, I have in the in the yoga community. I haven't taken a class in the United States in several years. And I was so pleasantly surprised to see the little shift even there. I mean, in every class that I attend, there are angel cards, or someone's got a crystal bowl or a Tibetan bowl, and incorporating these healing therapies into the classes. So I know that perhaps that's a vein of awareness that maybe would be more inclined to these things organically, but I was really happy to see it there, because 10 years ago, I didn't see any of that stuff. It was just about, exercise. So the inclusion of some mindfulness and alternative healing modalities there is really wonderful. And just kind of out on the streets, I find people to be kind and friendly and opening doors and saying hello. And if they bump you, they, are very just pleasant. And collectively, I know people shine their brightest and best when they're held in resistance, because I live in New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey, and I was also living down the shore at Hurricane Sandy, and people's lives were turned upside down during that time. And even if you never spoke to your neighbor, you were asking that person, can I help you? What can I do for you? So I've seen the best of humanity. And I know that I think it's contrary to we've been fed that people become their worst, and that could partially be so for a fraction of people. But when put under pressure, I really do believe that there's some sort of elevation of spirit and people unite. And I think that may be the one factor that whatever has been the organizing source of what we've been experiencing did not put into their equation.
What I love about this is, and the next question I have is, we need to hear about the realm and why now. I love this because I'm like you. I'm meeting people left and right that have demonstrated acts of kindness and generosity in ways we don't talk about enough. And here's what I want to say about that. I'm not talking about people that go into their bank account and give millions of dollars. I'm talking about, Leigh, what you just said, but I'm also talking about the three of you and how willing you are to come forward and share this with people. I want to ask this question, and I want to start with Gretta. I get asked the question all the time as I talk about our next phase of what we're doing in our expansion. And it's usually met with strange expressions on faces and stuff. And I'm asked now recently, why now? Why now? And then I think before I answered, like I'm thinking, okay, maybe this person doesn't see what I see, right? Maybe I need to answer the question more mindfully instead of saying, why not, right? Although I have said why not to people. But maybe we're being called to be a different version of ourselves, to create the kind of shift and change we want. So tell me about the realm. Tell me about that why now. And I know you can say, why not? Why not now? You can throw that right back at me.
I think a friend of mine kind of summed it up for me. We were on a three-way call for three women, and and we've been friends for years. But one thing she said to them, she said, Gretta is here to teach creation of reality. That is why she came here. And I thought that was so interesting. So that's my answer, Dr. Pat. The realm of beings is here to assist others in knowing that they create their own reality. Now, I want to say this. There are many others here as well. Okay, so we have the Abraham, I call it the Abraham Collective, but I know people call it Abraham by Esther Hicks. They come through Esther Hicks. We have I forgot the gentleman that that energy comes through. We have Cryon that was supposed to have been gone. That energy was supposed to have been gone, but I think it's still present. Back in the 70s, we had Seth, who was speaking through Jane Roberts, about 11 books that he's written dealing with that. So, and I'm only talking about the people that have been here in the United States. There are people doing this work all around the world. We just are not exposed to them because of a language. Maybe we don't speak the language, so we can't hear what they're saying, but they're there. And I think the purpose is that is collectively, because I don't see separation. We've separated, we said Abraham collective, the realm of beings, Seth, Kraya, Bashir, and et cetera, and et cetera. But we're not individuals. We are really only one. The illusion is that each one of us is different, but in reality, we're not. We're only one entity speaking, but we're speaking through different individuals because different individuals are bringing a certain aspect or a certain part of the learning for this global experience to people. So the realm is about creation of reality. It's about an added addition to that, which we really haven't gotten into, somewhat in the podcast we have, but the other part is it discusses existence. They discuss existence, meaning existence being that which is beyond this universe, including everything that is in existence. That is one thing that they are bringing to the table or bringing to the puzzle.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up, and I hope you do a show on that. And I want to get to Yvonne and Leigh. You know why that is so important, Greta? To all of you, actually, is I pay attention to what goes on in the pop culture world in multiple countries. And the one phenomenon that you can count on that has changed drastically in the past 10 years, and it is a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon that people will pay money for. It's a phenomenon that people are disappointed when they don't get it fast enough. And that is every iconic version of imagination, whether it's Hollywood or Bollywood, that has to do with multiple universes. And think about it. Disney is racking in the money every time they put out a new Marvel character. Why? Well, I do believe, kind of like you, and I hope you talk about this. Are we being guided through this material? Is this to help us step up and become more aware? Is this to have a new way to globally change consciousness in the reality that other things exist? Because the latest polls, people say, we really do believe we're not the only people here. We kind of believe we may even think there's like a planet like on Avatar. And that's not where we were 20 years ago. That's not where we were. But the way you all are bringing it out is by the very nature of the level of empowerment that we have within to shift. Right. And that's what I hear when I listen to your show. And when the realm talks, I'm like, I stop, like everything. I'm like, okay, let me hear closely. Yvonne, Leigh.
Yes.
Give us your perspective. And I just want to tell folks, this is the way your show goes. I mean, when you do your show, this is what you're rolling with.
I think when you ask the question, why now?
Yep.
There is a certain spaciousness that is unfolding within all of us. And I want to call it a spaciousness. I think there's this room developing that we're more possible to, in that spaciousness, accept new ideas and new ways of being and shifts that we haven't perhaps been open enough to before. And, on the podcast, we discuss about going within instead of without. That's also another big shift. People are looking to understand themselves more and find out how they create this, or maybe they could even be open to the idea that in fact they do create their life. Things just aren't predestined and things just don't happen. So, I think all of this leads up to sort of an evolution of, Earth and humans are important. incarnate on this plane for a more galactic reason. You know, I've heard things posited. Is it that Earth? Is it that this human heart, this energy is like the heart chakra of the universe? I don't know, that this energy we emanate, I think we are special and we are all united. So maybe that's why we just keep coming back for this touch it, feel it, taste it, energetic experience.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Yvonne, for you, I want to make sure we get you in here because what you all are sharing is in such a beautiful way. The way you've talked about this really gets at the core of why we are all in for what we're doing in 2022. But yet we do not have the level of expertise that you all have in sharing this from the heart, you know, from the realm, from things we don't think about. Yvonne, how about you? Take us home.
Oh, take us home. Yeah, I feel like I am home when I'm in my heart and when I'm in this energy. I'm always home. But yeah, so I think the information, like the question if I remember, is why now? Why are we connecting to the realm now? Because now is the time. You know, we're always been in a process of evolving and learning and growing, as far as, you know, through my perspective. And people are ready. Like you said, like 5 years, 10 years ago, it just wouldn't have happened. Like, you know, when people were riding horses, they had no idea there was something such as of a car out there. And I'm certain that whatever we're doing now, like 10, 20, 30, 100 years from now, like those, you know, like it's this, what we're doing will seem ancient history to those people, because we'll be communicating effortlessly with our thoughts and through the energy realm. So the information is always there. It's always available. It's just a matter of being conscious and bringing it down into this physical plane, into this world. And so that's why the realm is with us to assist us in shifting and into loving ourselves. Because once we open that up inside and truly love ourselves unconditionally, forgive ourselves for anything that we may consider could have been faults in ourselves or others, the energy's pure and clean, and it's then those realms that we think of as out there, the angels, and they're there always, and it's just being able to bring that energy through and talk about it and have it come through us as channels of light.
Thank you all. I just want to tell everybody, if you all are listening, these amazing women host a show called Shifting Impressions. And I want to ask Leigh, you again, can you tell people how they can find out about you, about everybody, about listening to the show? What should they Google? Where should they go? And definitely on Transformation Talk Radio, but give us the inside skinny.
Definitely. For Gretta, I believe you can find her on Gretta's House. Yvonne, please tell the name of your company so they can look for you there.
Just through Gretta's House for the moment. So,
and you can listen to us on the streaming networks, iTunes, Spotify. I think Dr. Pat, it works with many, many others. Too many to list, actually.
So you just got to put in Shifting Impressions.
Shifting Impressions.
And they'll get it,
YouTube,
right?
also, you can find us, our videos there.
Any sneak peek on what you're going to talk about next show, or do we have to wait?
Oh
Gretta?
my goodness, that is a good question.
Okay, we'll wait.
Thank you.
Because you already said during this show, like, you go back and listen to the show, because she said, you heard her, right? She said, I know we haven't talked about that yet, but we're going to have to talk about an upcoming show. Now you got to remind her what she said. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Dr. Pat, for having me.
Love your messaging. And thank you so much for saying yes to join our radio family.